hobby streaker, stripping down your hobby to its bare plastic. Hi everyone, welcome to the Hobby Streakers, episode 4 already,
Yeah.
which means that we've been doing this for 2 months. It's crazy. We only do it once every 2 weeks, but still. So, Liam, my co-host, the man, the math problems, do you know why? It's because of those math problems. There's this guy that buys 30 pumpkins or watermelon or whatever. You're kind of the same, there's Liam, got 1,356 days of hobby streak. It's like, no, that never happens in real life. Well, yes, it does. So, yeah. I'm at 178. And when this will actually air, it will be my 181 day, and it will be my 6 months. Yeah. So I went back and I realized that I started January 30th of this year. And so on June 30th, it will be 6 months. Which is crazy.
Really mate.
Yeah. So, again, thank you everybody for the support. We really appreciate it. The community itself is awesome anyway, and we'll give a few shout out in a few seconds, but we've posted, and if you haven't seen it, please first of all please subscribe. And you know why? Because we're gonna do a live streaking on if we ever get 100 followers. What we're gonna do basically, we're just gonna have a stream. So I'm playing a little bit with OBS. I think I'm pretty much can put something together. We're at 27, I think, followers right now. So
yeah, we're almost there.
Yeah. Well, we're a little bit more than a quarter of the way. So again, we see a lot of views, not necessarily a lot of subscribing. So please subscribe. Today we'll go over the streaker poll that we did, and so again, every 2 weeks we'll do a poll. We'll talk about it during the podcast, along with everything else that we've done, we're planning on doing, we tried, and some news also that we want to talk about. So you wanted to do a shout out today, and
so
please let us know.
The main shout out we want to do today is some people may have seen on the Twitters or the Instagrams that Ms. Dana Howl has been having a running battle with a squirrel trying to get into her apartment, and that the current stage of the battle of the squirrel is that
the squirrel won.
She tapped on the window to scare the squirrel off, and shattered the window and lacerated the crap out of her arm, almost cut some major arteries and something.
Shit. Yeah, that was just
went to
crazy.
the hospital, got it all got home and went, I'm going to try doing some of my hobby streak now.
Yeah, which is nuts.
I
it's like when I saw this.
paint.
Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, that's it. Like, she was at 900 something, and I was like, that's it. Like, she's done. Like, there's no way. Nope.
It's like,
she was back at it.
I'm
moly.
in there. I'm in her Twitter thread going, Dana, emergency trips to the hospital are allowed. You can pause. It'll be fine. Everybody will understand that you didn't mean to put your hand through a plate glass window.
Yep.
She's like, can't stop, won't stop. And churning out did like a couple of really beautiful watercolors using contrast paints.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. I'm like, I really need to. I mean, I won't try it because I cannot draw anything. But I'm thinking that my wife, who's already doing like watercolors and aquarelle and gouache and all this stuff, I'm like, why? Yeah, maybe she should try that as a medium.
I'm sat here going, those look like the kind of color John Blanche-esque pictures that you'd get in like the color fantasy army books and
cool.
codexes from like way back in the early days of Warhammer. I'm like,
yeah,
you're doing that with one hand.
Yeah.
Dana, please, you're making the rest of us look bad.
Yeah, she does. You know, it's like, and then you see like people are like, I'm a little bit tired tonight, I'm gonna stop my hobby streak, and then you see something like this and you're like, holy, yeah. But again,
so
no,
Dana,
and again, no, please, yeah. So hats off to Dana, but please, everybody, again, and we say it every time, the hobby streak should be enjoyable. If you do not take pleasure into it, if you're too stressed or if anything, and you want to pause or you want to stop, that is fine. Like, there is no reason to force yourself into doing this. Like, yeah, like I said, Liam is kind of like the guy in the math books that you say nobody ever does this. Well, yes, he does. And there is another guy who has got like 1,300 something. And I'm guessing you know him.
There's a couple of us who are. I think there's. Can't remember who it is. There's one guy who's 30 days behind me.
Yeah, and then there's another one who has like 1,270 something or something like that.
Like another two or so people who are in the mid 1,200s, and then I don't think anybody else has cracked 1,000 yet.
Dana is pretty close. I think she's 900 something. There's a couple that I've seen. I think at like 800 and 700 and something like that. But anyways, again, everybody, take it to your own pace. Now, there's a couple of other shout out, and those are just for people that follow us, leave us comment, interact with
lots of nice things about us.
Yeah, interact with this podcast, interact with us on Twitter, but also with the hobby streakers on Twitter. And that's Ashelyn, which hasn't been doing that very long. She started, I think, in October last year or something like this. And she's at a level that I don't think I'll be even in like a couple of years from now. So, yeah.
There's people coming in here with their previous art experience and making us look bad.
No, and again, like, yeah, and she was very active in the painting and everything. She ended up getting a Raphael, which I'm really happy about it because I kind of pushed her into it. Because I really like the Raphael. But again, so shout out to her. I'm hoping that she will eventually, as she was saying, go into doing actual commissions. Again, no armies. I don't think that's for anybody doing commission. I think it's just crazy to do armies. But I mean, when you see our centerpieces, that's definitely something that I know a lot of people will be like, yeah, I'll buy that. So again, shout out to her. Graydon, also shout out to him. He's been basically just very active in the community, and just throwing likes all over the place, encouraging people and so on. So yeah, shout out to him as well. And last but not least, AntBiasPainting. AntBiasPainting.
Yes.
New to the hobby streak. I think he's about at like 16 days or something like this. Look at his Twitter. It's super clean. Like, you know, when you color into the lines, yeah, this guy takes it to another level. I mean, he does sub-assembly like crazy, which I'm not a big fan of, and I never do sub-assemblies, but he does it, and he does it very well, and all of his things are just super clean. And this is the thing that just, like, when the first time I saw what he was painting, I was like, holy moly, how can you be so clean? Like, there's not a little tiny drop of paint next to the other one, and it just, yeah, it's... And that guy, I think he does commission and everything, so yeah. Again, please follow him. He's been very active also in the community since he just, like I said, just started for, I think, 16 days or something, something around that. So, thanks a lot for that. Now, I was gonna do a little rant on, oh, that's nice, on things that have been happening that we've all seen on Twitter. I don't know about Instagram and all this because I've not really followed those that much. But there's been a lot of anti, and I've put a post on Twitter, anti pretty much just insert people because it's just been anti everything. And we all know that Twitter kind of like does that. People tend to hide behind the whole Twitter thing and start posting crap. And it's just been crazy. I don't know if you've seen it a lot.
There's various people getting angry at various things at different times for different reasons.
It's just been nuts. Like,
and I'm just going, cool, I want to look at pictures of toy soldiers and cats. Scroll past.
Yeah. No, and this is the main thing, and I think that we all agree on. Well, no, we don't all agree because there wouldn't be posts like this. But just, I think sane people agree that the hobby is supposed to be just you doing this for yourself, painting little army man or woman or beast or whatever, and just basically having fun. And the whole point is, yeah, play games, have fun, paint and have fun, or whatever is that you want to take into the hobby. Yeah. So yeah, I don't want to ash it out again because I think that we've seen all the posts. But it was funny that when I posted what I posted on Twitter, I gained a few followers following that, but then there's someone that unfollowed me. I don't know who, and I don't really give a shit. Sorry. But yeah, when I saw this, I'm like, really? I'm just basically saying, WTF, people should chill out, and someone unfollow me. I'm like, alright, well, dude, or do that, whatever, if you... Doesn't really matter.
Like, if you're following either of us for drama, then you're in the wrong place.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just crazy.
The only drama you're going to get from me is, oh, I went to the store and I picked up the wrong paint. That's not drama. That's me being an idiot.
Yeah. No, like I said, I don't do a lot of posts.
This one was just I accidentally bought a new army.
Oh yeah, I saw that. You're gonna have to tell me how that happened. Well, you're gonna have to tell all of us how that happened. Because like, I was
most
like,
of it turned
what?
up today.
I'm like, what?
On my desk now.
Okay. So, well, today, as you can see, I am painting Mr. Falcon, Captain America, which I just broke right before we started the podcast. So you've seen me drop some powder on it.
I thought about making a joke about you not doing sub-assemblies.
Yeah, well, I don't do sub-assemblies, and then I had a sub-assembly. Involuntary sub-assembly, I should say. So, yeah, I tried to do Tamiya Extra Cement. That didn't really work that well. So what I ended up doing, and it seems to have taken pretty well, is do the old, our friend, baking soda, and super glue. So for those who don't know, which you might be new to the hobby and you might not know about this, but what you do is, one side you put super glue on the part that you want to glue, and on the other side you put baking soda. What happens when baking soda gets in contact with, and let me see if I can actually do a little experiment at the same time that I'm talking. What happens when super glue mixes with baking soda is that it will harden like really quickly. So I got some baking soda left here. Let me just put some in there. And so yeah. So when you do that, basically what it does, it creates a kind of paste that's super hard, and it just hardens really quickly. So like this is my baking soda and a drop of super glue, and if you put more baking soda on top, that super glue is just gonna become super hard. And so that's what I did. I put super glue on one side, super glue on the other. There we go. And then you get this really, and now you get, here we go. So you get, it doesn't stick to my palette, well, to my thing, but here you go. You get a piece of hardened super glue. So that's very simple to do. Some people actually do it for basing too. You can create a kind of, if you put the super glue first on the base all over, and then you sprinkle the baking soda over it, that baking soda will kind of harden and look like sand and earth to the scale of a 28mm type thing. So that's what I did, because it broke right where the wing connects to the little cloud thingy. So it looks like it did harden pretty well, and I am gonna...
And behind the curtain, for the folks at home, this happened just as we were about to hit record.
Yep.
There was lots of swearing, lots of running around, and where did I put the baking soda? And...
So yeah.
Yeah.
Not my finest moment. But again, and this is, like, that's the thing, is like, I've broken so many...
happens
so many things. I mean, I ended up completely breaking the sword of Deadpool last time, by the way.
Oh.
So, it was banned, and I was like, it's gonna break. And then I was gonna take some nice pictures of Deadpool, and I put it where I wanted to take the pictures, and I'm like, why is his katana half the size of what he was before? Where is the piece?
No.
And he was like, no, the worst was, where is the piece? That's the thing.
It's gone forever.
Nope, I actually managed to find it. I don't know how, but it was just sitting there, and I was like, oh, that is so lucky. And so, yeah. So I've asked people, if I should paint Mr. Falcon or the new model that I assembled yesterday, which is Lizard from Marvel Crisis Protocol. It's awesome. Like, it's really, I think it's probably my favorite sculpt so far. I don't, there's gonna be a couple that are gonna be up there with this one, but I don't know, I really like it. They've done an amazing job, and it's just like, yeah, it's really cool. It's really big too. So since people didn't say anything, well, since people said I should do Mr. Captain America Falcon version, that is what I'm doing. And now that I've screwed so I've put the metallic paint already on it, and that kind of goes with some new stuff that I've tried, which I will talk about later. So what are you painting? Because what I've been chatting, you've been actually painting and doing something.
I'm on the Praetors still. Where's the camera gone? From the Stormcast Eternals half of the Dominion box set. So the plan today is to get all the gold done, which will be about 10 minutes. And then I'm going to start putting in a base for all the details that aren't the 3 primary colours.
Yeah, right.
That's the current plan. See how far that gets us.
So what have you been doing this week? So since you're keeping those for the podcast, right?
Yeah.
So what else have you been painting? I saw some Lady of the Lake kind of thing.
Alright, let's wash my brush off. It's show and tell time, boys and girls.
So, for those who are listening on the podcast and want to see some of the things that we're talking about, I actually did last week put in the show notes the Instagram link to all the pictures that we are gonna show during this podcast. So if there is any picture popping up on the screen, I'll probably show that, and I'll try to put as well some of the stuff that we've done on our Twitter, but you might as well just go on Twitter and just check those out. That's easier.
I mean, I post my stuff on Instagram and Twitter as well, so.
And again,
it's on both.
Like and subscribe, comment, and if you're listening, just put a nice review, 5-star on Apple iTunes. Just helps us get some visibility. So thank you.
I finished painting Kurdos Valentian and his Blade Geists. Don't have those directly to hand.
Can you? What are those? Are those like the ghosty thingy?
So those are the ghosty parts of the Mortal Realms magazine.
Cool.
So Kurdos Valentian is like the right-hand man of the Nighthaunt. And the Blade Geists are just spooky ghosts with big swords. And then, yeah, because that was the Sunday previous to, so that'd be the Sunday after the last episode went up. Okay. It was mighty warm over here in the United Kingdom.
Well, no.
So
it was mighty warm for the United Kingdom. That's what you should say.
relative to the normal grey pole that we live under, it was a mighty 32 degrees Celsius, which is too hot for us.
Yeah,
so
which is crazy, yeah.
I went, I've not got a game planned at club this week. I've got 2 boxes of Drakov Cav sat in my to build pile. I'm going to go to club and build that because club's got air conditioning.
Oh, that's nice.
So I sat in the hall at club with the air conditioning and built for, I think they're Tempestors is the technical term, but they're guys on heavy dragon cavalry, and they've got crossbow pistols, and they're really cool and stuff. Then managed to get this lovely lady done. This is Asteria Soulblight, Lord Arcanum on Celestial Dracoline. Okay. So she's kind of like the other ones that I've been painting up recently. But she's an easy to build model. Okay. Which is why she's got one of these nice sculpted bases. She's push fit.
Cool.
So yeah, I got all of her done. She's got magnets on the bottom. I did the magnets on the Judicators that I was painting in episode 2. So they're all now.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. Do you magnetize everything?
I'm magnetizing everything on this army because it's probably a slightly more efficient way to store these. But I've got foam trays for most of my other stuff.
All right, cool.
And yeah, so that is then built Lady Alinda, who's, don't know if you can see that on my camera, but she's really wobbly, and the contact points on this were just nuts. So she's going to fall apart when I paint her. She's from the magazine. She's the leader of the Night Haunts. She's the Mortarch of Grief. She's scary. Built Knight Zephyros, also from the magazine. She runs around and she assassinates heroes with 2 hand axes. That's what she does. And 2 statues of bird dogs, griffhounds. So
okay, cool.
I've got one more kit from the last Mortal Realms delivery to build, which is some crossbowmen with bird friends. But I'm saving that for Saturday when I get home from karate and I'm tired and want to crawl into a hole and die.
Yeah, that's usually... Well, that's the problem. It's like lately I've just been receiving just too many things that I wanted to put together.
Yeah, well.
So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna keep some stuff for when I'm tired, blah blah blah. But I ended up, I'm like, nope. So.
Is
that it?
This and these and
everything that's underneath there. All that is for just in
these,
just in case.
And well, this turned up today.
All right. Oh, is that your new army then?
Most of it.
So what kind of new army did you get?
Where did all that stuff go? Put it away before I lose it. So it's more of these guys.
Okay.
So they're Space Marines, but they're also wizards. But they're also Space Marines, but they're wizards.
So they're wizards, Space Marine.
Yep.
Okay. And that's your new army. So is that? But so that's for 40k then.
Technically for Horus Heresy.
Sorry, yeah, that's right. You said last time that you're not playing 9th edition. You're playing Horus Heresy. Come on, give me a brush.
It's 40k. This is the future space war. Future past space war.
Future past space war. There we go.
So it's in the past of the future.
There you are. Not on the floor.
And
so,
that
yeah.
is what I have been up to in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, you've been busy.
Yeah. I went back on my Instagram to remember what I'd done. I was like, oh, I've done a lot.
Yeah. I have not checked my Twitter to see what I actually did. I think most of it is just right here anyway. Finished Iron Fist. Finished... I think I did that before. But I did basically a lot of Marvel Crisis Protocol. So for those who don't know, 40mm, not 32 or 28. Most of the stuff that I've been painting lately have been Marvel Crisis Protocol. I finished Mr. War Machine, which I think turned out quite good. Iron Fist, I finished Mr. Doctor Strange, but I think I finished him before. I've assembled a few more models, so I've assembled Jean Grey and Cassandra, which were the 2 models that came in recently. So I assembled them. I wanted to paint Luke Cage, and then I realized that I really didn't like one of the gap that he had.
Right.
So I ended up stripping him completely and basically starting over. I don't like it. I don't like what I'm doing. This is not what I want. It's not gonna work. Alright, I should have done what I wanted, which was use ink. So that's pretty much what I've done. I mean, I've just so I ended up doing a lot of, and so yeah, just a lot of Marvel Crisis Protocol (MCP) for short. And yeah, so I received yesterday Lizard and Craven, which I think Lizard is just awesome. Again, probably my favorite model so far from the line.
Have you got the whole Sinister Six yet?
No. There's so right now there's only Goblin, Dr. Octopus, Lizard. Craven is not part of the Sinister Six. Is he?
Depends what lineup you're looking at, I guess.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be Electro, Vulture, Green Goblin, Lizard. Damn. Rhino? Is Rhino part of it? Yeah, I think so. And so yeah, we're not quite there yet. There's still quite a few that are missing. I mean, Marvel villains right now, Spider-Man villains right now is Dr. Octopus, Goblin, Green Goblin, Craven, and Lizard. And then I think there's a couple that are coming.
I've just got up Wikipedia.
Alright.
And contents. Membership. 1-1, Sinister Six.
Yeah.
1-1 through 116. So there's been 16 versions of the Sinister Six.
Shoes. Alright.
So the original Sinister Six was Electro, Mysterio, Dr. Octopus.
Mysterio
Vulture,
is coming too.
Vulture, the Sandman, and Craven the Hunter.
Okay, yeah.
And then other versions. 2-1 through 210. And then 3 different versions in the Secret Wars. 4 different versions on TV.
Yeah, so again,
okay,
yeah.
So
I mean, it's the universe is so.
I'm guessing the Sinister Six membership is the entire Spider-Man Rogue Gallery at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I retract my question.
So yeah, so not quite there yet. I think most of them are. Well, the big ones are not quite all there, but I mean they're just releasing so much so quickly. So now let's move into what I tried, and I'm gonna actually do that again now. So for War Machine, I did something that so I airbrushed him completely with Vallejo Model Air Silver, which is awesome, which I got recently. And once I had done that, what I did is I took contrast paint, which was Black Templar, and shot it through my airbrush.
Okay.
So once I've did that, I wanted to bring back all the parts that were metallic and not, like just bring back those parts. So what I did is, and this is what I'm doing now, is basically I stripped the paint with IPA, 91% IPA. And I ended up actually using a paintbrush, not just a Q-tip or something like this, but an actual paintbrush to actually remove it. And so I removed from Mr. War Machine all the parts that are visibly metallic. I actually removed the paint that was on top, which was the Black Templar, and I also ended up putting back after that some other paint on it. And so I just painted Mr. Falcon with some contrast paint, and I really don't like the effect that it did, so I just removed that. I'll leave it in the cracks, it's not too bad. But yeah, so I ended up doing that, So I was really surprised that I could actually take a brush, and I don't know where is the brush that I found, but I found a brush that were short enough that the hairs of the brush were, like the bristles, I should say, of the brush were hard enough so that when I was brushing, I could just literally brush off the paint with the IPA. So yeah, it was pretty cool. I was really happy about that.
Yeah, it looked really good.
And then after that, yeah, like everything else on it are inks. Like I decided, like I was like, oh, I'm not gonna, and I just tried right now on Mr. Falcon to do it with contrast paint, and I just do not like the results. So I am gonna put some more metallic on it, and I am gonna start that over. And I am gonna use my inks because I think they work a lot better for this. Even painted on, they work a lot better because they're a lot more transparent and they show. The problem with the contrast paint is they tend to flow into the cracks. So yes, they give you that, oh, this is, well, they give you the contrast between highlights and shadows and everything. But to cover a surface and have the same coverage everywhere, just translucent coverage, doesn't work. Now,
you've got to really thin it down with medium to get it to do that.
Yeah, and I just did, and I just thin it with medium, and it just like, yeah, it's not doing what I want. It's not flowing the way I want. So I'll do it with, like I said, I'll do it with inks. It might not work with my inks either. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll try it out. This is the thing. I'm just trying things out and having fun. Now, the other things that I tried, because I screwed up Iron Fist. He's got a giant dragon on his chest.
Yeah.
And so what I did was, I'm like, oh, I'll do the dragon last. It's a little bit embossed. Well, the opposite. Like, it's recessed. Not embossed, actually. So it's a little bit recessed into his chest. So I'm like, yeah, I can paint that pretty quickly and everything, and it's just gonna be fine. So let me do the actual skin first, and then I'll do this thing on top. So I did the skin, which I was really happy about. High contrast things and like 3 colors of skin and blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, that came out really well. And then I went on to do the dragon, and of course I messed up. And so I was like, that sucks. And then I started again. I grabbed my IPA and I'm like, I'm just gonna just strip the entire chest, because I'm like, I'm not gonna try to repaint on top of it of the blotchy black that's on the skin tone. No, there's no way. Like, this is just gonna be a mess. So I took my Q-tip this time and I just went at the chest and I just like stripped the whole thing. And so after that I was like, oh, now I want to do Mr. Luke Cage, and I saw the gap and everything, and I'm like, oh, okay, I need to strip it. And usually I use LA Totally Awesome, and I know that that's not something you can find in the UK, I'm pretty sure.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's like this yellow, I don't even have a bottle anywhere near, but it's like this yellow stripping thing that, well, it's a cleaner. It's supposed to be a cleaning agent, basically. And you put that and you leave your minis in there, and it just, yeah, they'll get stripped pretty quickly. And I'm like, it's still gonna have to sit in there for a while and all this. And so I grabbed my Sonic cleaner. I emptied the water out of it in there. I put 91% IPA in there. And then I turned it on, and it's like, I could see the paint coming off like right away. And just flaking off and everything. I was like, oh, this is perfect. And so I ended up stripping it with IPA. Which was the first time I stripped a mini with IPA, so yeah. And I know that IPA is hard to come by. Isopropyl alcohol is hard to come by. But basically every time I go to the store, because of my 3D printer, I tend to grab 1 or 2 bottles every time.
Right.
I'm like, oh, they have a stock. Let me grab 2 bottles. Oh, they don't have a stock. Well, too bad. Let me see next time. And so that's pretty much what I've been doing. And so that was kind of new for me to try those. As a like IPA as a medium to paint with was really, really strange. Because you have to be careful not to go too far, or you will remove the metallic paint or whatever you have underneath. Or so yeah, it was a fun experience. And then I figured that I'm using my Monuments Hobby tool for removing mold lines. They have this weird looking tool, which works great, by the way. And so I figured that I will try something else with this. And usually what you do when you have, I don't know, what do you use to fill up gaps?
Me?
Yeah.
Green stuff or
Milliput?
extra plastic cement and just squish it together really hard.
Yeah, well, yeah. That works a lot of the time. That's what I do. It's just like, alright, there's a gap there. Let me put some more plastic cement and just crush the S out of it so that it fuses together. Well, usually I use plastic putty from Vallejo. And usually what you end up doing, you put it down and then you have to wait. It dries and then you put some more because you're never, like, it shrinks. So
right.
It goes back into the recess and it's a pain. And so I'm like, let me try something different. So what I did was I actually ended up putting the putty, but leaving it with, like, not smooth it over the crack, but leave it raised over the crack and let it dry. And then I went with the mold line scraper and I scraped it like a mold line. And it actually worked really well. And I was surprised. And now, like, yeah, like the gaps on the back of, like on the side of Mr. Luke Cage, so you can see like all the, I've got some putty almost like a little bit everywhere, but it's just like it's traces. It's not even a big issue, and I'll probably go back with like a utility knife or something. But basically, yeah, it works so much better to do that instead of, you know, trying to fill in the gap and then it's like nice and smooth and then wait and yeah, that the putty doesn't sand well. But it scrapes really well with the with the mold line remover, so I was like, yep, that works. So I was really happy about that one. So that's another thing that I tried. And yeah, that's pretty much all the stuff that I've tried this week, which, well, the past 2 weeks, which I'm really happy about. What did you try?
Got to try my dry brush.
Yes. All right. So how is it?
So far, so good.
Alright, cool.
I mean, I've used it once.
What did you do with it?
For the base of a shelf over there.
Mm-hmm.
And it might just be because I'm dabbing it into an old pot of the old Sistel Corax White, aka the fastest drying pot of paint in the fastest drying paint pot. But I haven't completely ruined the brush yet. I will have a full review when I've gone through some more terrain, because I tend to dry brush the shit out of my terrain because highlighting terrain is for
how big is it? Can I see it? How big is it?
The dry brush.
Yeah, it's just like is it?
This is the small dry brush.
Okay. Because terrain with that is gonna take forever, dude.
Well,
like, do you have another?
The terrain is only that big.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, that's fine. No, I thought you were doing like a, because if you were doing a big piece of terrain, then yeah, I was like,
large bits. I've got a large dry brush for doing large bits of terrain.
No, dude. Like this is a large dry brush.
Yeah, fair.
This is like Uncle Adam, and for the people who know, he swears by makeup brushes, and I was like, dude, seriously, makeup brushes? Well, until I bought my first one, and then I was like, seriously? And I know he's not the one who came up with it. I can never remember her name. I think she works for Privature Press now, and she used to have her own channel where she was doing terrain and things. I can never remember her name. Anyway, if I remember, I'll put it in the show notes. Like she has a channel, and it's just awesome. And she does a lot of things like that. But anyway, so yeah, we've been busy, man. Like, look at this. Like, we're at like 30 minutes, and we have barely covered just what we've done and what we're doing. So, all right, let's get into the meaty part of the podcast. So we ran a little. Well, sorry. Did you try anything else? No.
I'm set in my ways.
Well, no, but I mean, like, even
I
this is
did
the thing,
play
even techniques,
Warcry for the first time on Sunday.
You played Warcry?
Yeah.
Cool. How do you like it?
I'd fun. So I used some Stormcast, and my friend borrowed some of my Noirhaunt, and we found out that if you're playing in an objective-based game, the ability to basically ignore terrain is useful.
With the Nighthaunt, because they just fly over and everything?
Yep, and I've got to walk around it. And in a stand-up fight, the Stormcast are probably going to win.
Yeah, makes sense. Alright, cool. Oh, you frick. Damn it. I knew I was not painting the right thing. Anyways, sorry. I'm just messed up on my painting, which is fine. Alright. So, last week, for a few days, because I ran it a little bit longer than I did the paintbrushes, which apparently people on pallets are not as... I think paintbrushes was really people were just so humped about their paintbrushes. They're like, oh no, this is the best. No, this is the best. Pallets, well, people are a little bit more, doesn't really matter. So we only got, I think, about 80 votes, I think, was the final tally of it. And I will pull it up so that I can actually make sure that I got the proper answers. But what came out was basically wet palette came up in first, which, for those who don't know, so what is the difference between a wet and a dry palette? So a dry palette is what you see. What's his name? Well, no, like I'm not talking about a piece of plastic. I'm talking about an actual palette. So this is what you see Mr. Bob Ross using. Like, this is holding, and he mixes his paint on top. Most of it is because you're using paint like oil paints. So oil paints take forever to dry, so you can use a dry palette. Now, there's some people, and I know Sorastro, I think Sorastro used to... No. Yeah, I think he used to have dry palettes, and he was mixing his colors and everything, and then he switched to, I think, wet palette. But anyways, so yeah, a wet palette, the difference is that you have a container. Inside the container you have usually a sponge. Swedish sponge type thing. The same thing that you use for washing dishes and stuff like that you can find in stores. And so you have that on the bottom that is soaking wet, completely saturated with water. And then on top of that, you put usually, so there are specific papers for wet palette that the people sell with the wet palettes. Those are mostly made for real acrylic paint for canvas. And so the big problem with that is that it's not really good for our hobby. Like, it's not that great. So it doesn't really work for doing the acrylic paints. Don't really work on that. And I tried it again, and they say, well, you need to let it soak and blah blah blah. And I tried, but it just doesn't work as well as basic parchment paper that you can find in the baking section of any supermarket. You just do your baking parchment paper, you put it on top, and what happens is that paper will let in a little bit of the humidity of the water that's underneath, and so it keeps the paint that you have in your palette going for longer. Like, it doesn't dry right away. Now, usually I still end up using my little mix of Floaid, distilled water, and I've actually now included some retardant in it. Retardant, whichever
yes.
one, which just increases a little bit the time. I've put very little in it, but it's just enough so that it increases the time that my paint takes to dry. And I don't do a lot of blending. Usually people that do a lot of blending will actually put a lot of retarder in their paint so that they can just really increase that time that they can use their paints for that. Now, some things that people usually don't put on wet palette are the metallic paints, because people think it seeps through the paper and gets into the palette, which that's a old wives' tale. It does not. But it does not really help to put that in there. It's not really, it doesn't really help at all. It's not that great. So yeah.
You get separation of the metallic pigment, I think.
Yeah, as soon as you put any kind of water with metallic paint, it just doesn't really work. I tend to still do it. I do it on my wet palette, but I just don't put anything else with it. Usually the other paints, I put the paint and then I put my I will put my my mix next to it, and then I will mix on top of it. But anyway, so yeah. That's the basic of a wet palette compared to a dry palette. Now, things like washes, of course you're not going to put it on your wet palette because it's just going to go all over. And it's the same for contrast paint. Well, so contrast paint, I still tend to put them in a dry palette. I never take them out straight out of the... I rarely take them straight out of the pot. Because I want to see how they will actually... make sure I don't take too much or stuff like that. So I don't know. And I usually use... And that's... I don't know if that's something that you can find in the UK or not. But it's basically the tops of, beer cans or whatever. The new ones.
Oh,
to
yeah.
not kill the fish.
Yeah.
So... I've got a few of those, and I basically use one little compartment. It's not that deep because you have those open slots on the side, but it's enough to do what I'm doing right now, which is basically inks. Because the same thing, I don't want to mix that ink with any water or anything like this. And yeah, so that's kind of my take on things. I use a wet palette mostly for everything that's just regular paint, and I just love it. It's like some people reuse it the next day. I never do. The paint that's on there just lasts one session for me, and then I will change it. I might leave it on the palette so that I can see the color, and I will remix it just to make sure that I can see the color that it was, and I'll use that as a reference for either redoing the same color, which I usually don't, or just moving it to like another highlight or shadows or something like this. And then there's people like Liam who just use whatever comes around.
I am an agent of chaos.
Well, but so how do you like you what you're doing is what I do for dry brushing. Like I'll put it in some container, and then I'll dry brush, and then that's, you know, like basically that's it.
Okay.
So what what do you do, like?
So yeah, like as people will have seen throughout the stream, I'll take a couple of brush loads of paint using my brush. I'll stick it in this half of a yogurt pot, add some water, apply to miniature. And I've got a separate one that I mix washes and stuff in. So if I'm watering down's the wrong word, but thinning contrast paints, then I'll use.
So contrast paint, even if you're not thinning them, you still use them straight out of the pot.
Contrast paints, I come straight out of the pot.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I've built up the experience
that you know what you're gonna.
That I know out. How much
yeah.
is too much when I load my brush.
Okay.
I'd like to think.
Makes sense. Yeah, I still like to put them on the side and I don't like even like if I take it straight out of the pot, the least I can do is just dab it on a piece of like paper towel, so that I can see like what I'm gonna paint with. Basically, I don't know. It's just I don't trust just straight out of the pot because I don't know. Are you taking it from the top though? This is my thing also.
Yeah.
From the little cup at the top. So again, for people who don't know, look. All right, there's basically two main kind of pots. You've got the basic dropper bottles, and then you've got the Citadel crap. Pot.
Yeah, you said it right the first time.
Oh my god, I hate those freaking things. So that's why like some people have the little tops like this. I don't know if you've seen those, the dropper tops.
Yeah.
This is not a dropper top. Like for the people who are watching, like this is mine. I made this. I 3D printed using flexible filament, so it's squishy. I've printed this and I've made my little tops. And if you go on Etsy and search ProJG, you'll find I got a shop where I actually sell those for like $2 or something like that. But so I made those and this is the thing. So I made those for regular paints, which that was the only one that I have of regular Citadel paint. But for contrast, there's no way. The contrasts are too liquid. You cannot judge like what you're gonna drop. I don't like it. I don't think it's a good idea to even try. And then washes are fine in those bottles out as well. I actually prefer it too, because I got some other stuff which is like Vallejo again, Game Ink, which is skin wash. First of all, that one is super dark. Second of all, it's not great. Like this, you have to put it somewhere. Like there's no way you can just use it straight out of the pot. Like it and you have to put it somewhere. And it's a pain because it's gonna dry a lot faster and all these things. It's just then it becomes an issue. That's the thing. It does. Like it's one of those that just it's. I like their washes. Citadel, I really like their pots for the washes. And something that I don't know if you're doing also, and I know maybe not a lot of people do this, and I've seen it. I think maybe Dana was doing that in one of her videos or something. I've seen it somewhere, where you just slide the paintbrush behind.
No.
You've never done this?
I don't tend to do that, no.
Because then it stays up.
Yeah.
And then you can dip into the little cup that's on the top. Without it having to, like, close it all the time and reopening and all that stuff.
Most of my pots will stay open.
Alright.
The only one that I've got that I use regularly that sort of droops closed is the Storm Shield varnish.
Okay.
And for that, I'm basically taking from the pot anyway, so...
Alright, well... So, yeah, no, like...
Shrug.
Well, and the problem with those also is, like, and I don't... I mean, you're using them, you seem to have them all over the place, but you don't seem to be dropping them, but... usually they tend to just fall off. And spill everywhere. So you got those kind of things, like that little triangle things with 3 holes in it. Again, I made this, copied from GW, I think they make something similar. So I designed it in 3D and redid it, and so I'm using that all the time with my contrast paint because I don't want to spill them. And I have another one which is for just a single little pot. So do you tack them to your desk or do anything like this, or you just don't care and oof. So what's the worst accident you had?
Well,
no lawyer?
if I remove the bit of paintbrush drying towel from my desk, you can see spill free.
Damn. Nice. Yeah, I don't... Dude, that's the karate stuff. Like, you're just another level. Because, like, I just... Well, I don't think I ever dropped non-oil. I think the worst I did was... Well, it was like a Agras Earthshade. I think that's the one I dropped. Yep. But it only happened to me once. And I think that if you drop, like, the other type of paints, they're not as liquid.
No.
So
they're not going to go anywhere as much.
Yeah, I don't think you're run the risk of like really not like a wash or contrast paint for that matter.
Yeah.
I think I might have just I dropped one contrast paint. Which one? Oh, I don't remember. I think it might have been Black Templar. Because that's the one I pretty much used the most, so... I think it might have been the one. So, yeah.
A friend of mine has spilled Agrax over a hotel carpet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's gotta suck. Oh, my God.
He was... I can't remember what he was painting. I think it might have been some... I think it was some French Foreign Legion for bolt action.
Okay.
And he had to go up north to do some installation for the job he had at the time. So he's like, right, I'm going to take this, so I've got something to do in the hotel when I'm sat around twiddling my thumbs all night.
Yeah. But yeah, that... Oh my god, that must have sucked.
So there's a slight brown patch on one of their carpets. But I think he was sort of like in the area-ish of Games Workshop HQ, so he could swing by and get a refill.
Oh, get a refill, yeah. No, and that's kind of like the only thing that's a bit... Well, then the other side of the dropper is that just when you squeeze the paint onto your palette and it just doesn't want to come out, and instead of being smart and taking it, you know, be like, oh, let me remove that and let me try to see what the blockage is, you just press harder until it just splatters everywhere. And that one happened to me a few times. And then you have way too much paint on your palette. Yeah. Well, so yeah. Again, wet palette, most people will prefer wet palette. A lot of people use their... they will use their wet palette for pretty much all the base layer and base coating that you do. And then of course, if you want to do dry brushing, then you need a dry palette. You're not going to put it on a wet palette to do dry brushing. Now, a lot of people are saying, you know, like, oh yeah, it's a pain to have the wet palette and everything. So I usually have, and of course I'm saying that, but I probably don't have anymore, but when you cut your parchment to size for a wet palette, which, like this, that's a wet palette. I'm not going to show it on the close-up camera because it's just too big, but that's my wet palette. It's a Masterson Stawet. It's gonna Stawet because it's called Stawet, but anyways. So yeah, so when you have something like this, when you cut it to size, then you have lots of little pieces that are just, people tend to just throw away. I keep those, and when I have to do something and I don't want to change my entire wet palette, I just slap it in the middle, put a little bit of paint on it, and just work out of that. And yeah, sometimes that's all you need. You don't necessarily need to measure, because I never remember how big it is, so I remeasure the whole palette and then cut it, and then you put it in and it's not cut the way it's supposed to be, and then it's a pain, and then you cut it again, and blah blah blah, and you spend 20 minutes making your wet palette. Well, take that little piece of parchment paper that you have, slap it in the middle, put some water on it, and you're done. Like, it will just work out. I use also this, so it's like a squeegee little thing. I think it was for those window films.
Alright, yeah.
Yep, and so I use that. I put the water everywhere, and I use that to just remove the water from the top. I usually dab it a little bit with the paper towel as well, but that, you use that and it just goes and just like, oops, done. So yeah, it's that's pretty much my take on palettes. And then again, dry palette can be anything as long as it's usually plastic and or the inside of a like you're doing, a pot of yogurt, or like this is the cap of a whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's just like full of paint inside.
I mean, see how much
yeah.
that's dried up on
Yeah.
there over the years.
Well, and that's the thing. So one thing about acrylic paints that I don't know if, yeah, like everybody figures that because you mix them with water, if you put water on top again, it will just make it liquid again. Well, it does not. Once it's fully dried and cured, it is hydrophobic, I believe.
Yep.
I don't know if it's hydrophobic or if it's just like I don't know. But well, basically, yeah, it's kind of like hydrophobic. The water won't get into the paint. It will not
wash off.
Get the paint wet or wash off or anything like this. So, all right, I need to go on Atomic Mass Game and see how the shield is painting, because I have no clue. Or maybe I should look at my... Well, I never know like which one is which. Oh, Jesus. Alright, so I'm looking at my Captain America, which I painted about 2 years ago. And at the shield, how I painted it, and how I'm currently painting this one. And it's just ridiculous. This is what I'm saying about you're making progress. I mean, that shield looks bad. Oh my god. Oh, that was crappy. And I was trying to do... Oh, and it's all contrast paint anyway, but yeah. Oh, this is... Well, and this is... Again, that's what you should always do. Compare yourself to yourself. If you're... like, I'm really happy to see that the level I'm doing now on the shield to what it used to be. And I'm trying to 3D print a shield for a project that I'm gonna do. And I keep finding the big shields, and the problem is as soon as you reduce them to the size of a 40mm miniature, it does not work. It's too thin, it keeps breaking up, so I think I might... Yeah, it's a pain. So I think I might end up actually having to design it straight into a 3D program and just print it from there. That might actually be the only way I have to do it.
Fine, I'll do it myself.
Yeah, it's kind of... Yeah, that's kind of the thing, is like, yeah... It's not complicated to do. And I don't need the whole shield. Alright. And I think it's been done before, I believe. I don't know. What I'm doing is basically... I'm printing a... So I'm printing a Iron Man helmet. Stormbreaker from Thor. What's his name? Winter Soldier's arm. The bow of Hawkeye. The blaster of Star-Lord. I want the shield of Captain America. And I don't know which other things that I've tried to print. Oh, the staff of Loki. And what I want to do is basically take all those, make them destroyed. So the head, like the helmet of Iron Man, I want it like dented and beat up, and for all the rest the same, like kind of chopped off or missing a piece, or and the shield of Captain America, just like in Endgame, like, you know, completely destroyed by the Mr. Thanos sword. And because I have Thanos throne, which I don't know what I've done with it now. And I still have not painted that throne. I started, but I don't like it. And so what I want to do is take the throne, put all those pieces like in front of it, put some dirt kind of thing, and then make them like basically just like in the movie when Tony Stark says the Vision, where everybody's dead and all this.
Yeah. Like
kind of that, but at the feet of Thanos, basically. And having Thanos, because the way the model is made for Marvel Crisis Protocol is you have the throne, and basically he's walking down, and you can take the whole piece that he's the base that he's sitting on, and the base goes inside the big base that has the throne.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to do, and so I want to put like all those little pieces in there, just to make them look like, yeah, they got their ass handed over. So yeah, I thought it was a cool idea. So But again, like,
awesome.
I keep trying to print some stuff and it just does not work. And so it's really funny because I'm talking about wet palette and dry palette and everything, and since I've started, I've only done inks and I've not done any actual painting with my wet palette. But anyways, I swear I use it all the time. I don't know. But yeah, so what else do we have to talk about?
News. We've got
news. Yeah, so news, a little bit different from, well, there's a couple of things that are different from, so where is the blue in this? Oh, just the middle. So, let me take my little document so I can see the newsy news. So, I've just seen that Summoner's War. So, Summoner Wars, not to be mistaken with Summoner's War. So, Summoner's War is a little phone crap game that one of those like Shadow Raid and all that crap. So, no. But there is a card game that is called Summoner Wars, and it's been doing really well. And so the new second edition just came out, and that second edition came out in May, and they just announced some elves, I should say, for faction for it. And I thought they looked really, really great. We've played the game a couple of times with my kid, with my son, because he kind of likes that game. And I have still the old first edition, but yeah. And I thought that the artwork was pretty good. And the reason I put that in there too is because and you talked about Dana doing watercolor using contrast paint, and I don't think there's enough people doing something else than miniature painting in the hobby streak. Like, you see a couple of people that do illustration, a couple of people that do I know one guy is doing a lot of vassals thing. I don't know if you've seen those, where he programs war games onto that
Vassal.
Vassal, yep. The simulator type of thing. So yeah, and I think that like not enough people are doing something different. So just wanted to put that out there. I mean, like when you see the artwork on those cards,
Creative
really nice.
Edge Designs on Instagram does does paints stuff rather than toy soldiers.
Cool.
But it's
no, and I think
I
that's
don't quite
great.
know
like,
how to describe it, honestly.
More people should do that. Like, more people should do like hobby streak and be like, hey, I'm gonna do. Well, like my daughter is doing right now. She started doing like she's doing bead bracelets.
All right.
But not the actual where you have 6 beads across, and then you go down line by line and you make a pattern and all these things, like proper. And I was like, yeah, that could be cool, you know, like every night you do a little bit more and you do a different pattern or you do new things. And I was like, yeah, that could be also pretty cool to do that. So anyway, so yeah, so and again, like if you look at the picture that's popping up on the screen, if I can do it, I think I should be okay. I think the artwork on the new versions are, like on the second edition, is pretty cool. So I like the artwork, and this is why I've put it in there. Now, another thing that we've not talked about is 3D printing. Well, we've talked about it, but not any news related 3D printing. So Anvil Industry, which is UK based, by the way, they're awesome. They do some really cool models, and they have a Patreon that you can get every week. you can get some STLs. So STLs are the format of the file that you use to print miniature. Or anything for that matter. It's always STL. That's kind of like the .doc of the printers is what they use. All the printers use STLs. Well, all the slicer use STL to send it to a printer, I should say. So they released an hazmat containment for July. So there's still, well, once you get this one, this is gonna be out. Basically, that's your last day to do it. Because it's monthly things, and if you sign up to their Patreon, then you get access to whatever that month is. Plus, you get some welcome things that you're getting some extra like perks and stuff. But anyway, so they've come up with hazmat containment for this month, and I think those look really cool. One thing that I think they would be great for is Dona Alpha. So I don't know if you're familiar with Zona Alpha.
No.
Alright, so Zona Alpha is a set of rules for a skirmish battle type thing. It's supposed to be modern, it's supposed to be contemporary, like now, basically.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, the way it's done is that the whole premise of the game is that alien came in, landed, threw a bunch of crap on the floor where they landed, basically threw their trash out of the window, and left. They don't care about us. They did not care about us. They don't care about us. They didn't even try to communicate with us because we don't try to communicate with ants. You know, you don't care. And so there are those zones across the world that have alien technology inside that can make you rich or turn your inside into jelly, basically. And that's kind of like the whole thing. So people are going stokers, I think they called, are going inside the zones, and they're basically just to get stuff out. Alien batteries or whatever, or some new artifact or things like this. And then that's what you do. So you have your little warband that could be scientists, they could be mercenaries, they could be just regular people just wanted to make a buck, and so yeah, and so you have like regular people with just regular weapons and things like this that goes into the zones. It's taken from Roadside Picnic. I don't know if you know that one.
What one?
There's the book called Roadside Picnic.
No.
And that's exactly what it is. Roadside Picnic is that they came in, they dump all their stuff, and then there's those people that go in. There was a movie done with that. Metro also is kind of like the same premise kind of thing. There's been video games, there's been movies, all under the same kind of premise. But anyway, so those guys with the mask and everything, I think look really cool to be able to like be like, hey, they go into the zone. And so yeah, I think they look really cool. So I wanted to put that in there as well. And then today, while I was going through YouTube, I got Watch It Played, I don't know, of the board game, which is called Gargoyles, Disney Gargoyles Awakening. And it's from the old TV show Gargoyles, which is awesome. I was like, ah! And the game itself looks like it's It's one of those where they just put, an IP onto something, and you're like, okay, yeah. It's kind of like a skirmish kind of thing where you play the gargoyles, and then you fight the bad guy, and it's all, it's not that deep, and it doesn't look that great. But the minis, come on, like you kind of get the gargoyles from the TV show. I don't know if a TV show that you knew.
No.
No. Oh my god. It's like the best TV show ever. No, it's not true. But it was good. It was a fun TV show when I was a kid. I used to watch, so that's why I was like, oh god, I need to I need to get that game and get those minis. So yeah. All right. Anyway, so that was my part of the news. I know, a little bit uncommon, like not as we usually do, but yeah, I think there was some really fun stuff this week. So
yeah, there's a couple of cool things announced for Age of Sigmar. So last week they revealed the big new centerpiece model for the Crawl Boys. So the new orcs. So that's you can either have a named character or a generic version of a guy riding a giant carrion eagle swamp monster thing, and that looks really cool. And then
is that the giant chicken thing?
The giant chicken carrion bird thing.
Weird bird thing that looks like it really looks pissed off.
Yeah. And then
that looks pretty cool.
This week, yesterday when we're recording, was the Stormcast turn. So we've got the smug blue dragon and the angry red dragon, and they've both got names. And
is it blue or is it green? I thought it was green. It looked green.
It's quote unquote blue.
Okay, so it's like a turquoise,
painted him
whatever.
Sort of like a tealy, turquoisey colour.
Yeah.
And dragons. There's a couple of pictures of the dragons next to some armies, and they're going to be on a big base. They're going to be large.
They're going to be They look pretty big.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but that blue one looked like Pete the Dragon.
Yep.
It's just because it's smiling. Why is it smiling? I mean, why is it smiling?
He's
like smug. The other one looks. It's smug. Yeah. That's it.
The other one. So I've got this spare head from when I built my Star Drake. I think the other one kind of looks
like this,
a little bit like that, which is neat.
He's got like half of
lore-wise, there's a bit of a lineage through from the Great Dragon Dracothian, the God Beast Dracothian, through to the Star Drakes and the Dracoths, and these new guys are slightly closer to Dracothian, I think, in terms of the lineage. I've also
I don't understand why. Okay, so why were they gone?
So
because they haven't been in the game for a while.
When we had the Broken Realms Kragnos book, there's a chapter in there setting up his backstory, and way back in the mist of time, before the Age of Myth, before Sigmar came to the realms and founded civilizations and stuff, you had Kragnos' people of big horned centaur dudes, and Kragnos went, I don't like those dragon guys over there, I'm gonna go smash them. And he went and smashed them, and he basically genocided the whole race of dragons.
Oh, that's not cool.
It's not cool. But the last couple of holdouts gave some eggs to the Seraphon, the lizard men, and the lizard men Seraphon have been incubating the eggs on their temple ships in the etheric void of space, and they've hatched some. So they've been doing, even though Broken Realms is finished, like every week they're putting out like a short story set in and around this. So they've got like a pocket dimension on one of their ships where they've basically been regrowing the race of dragons. And they're like, right, cool, we're going to go give them to Sigmar. Because...
Okay, so I was gonna say, like, if they regrew them, why they're not using them?
because they've only just finished regrowing them.
Okay.
So we're in the nebulous period of some time has passed in between Broken Realms finishing and the vague start of 3rd edition. So, because there's a moving meta plot for the game now. Excuse me, because there's a moving meta plot for the game now. They're trying to avoid putting hard dates and timelines on. This is when stuff happened, so you can theme your army all over the place and not have it be like constrained by quote unquote canon.
Okay.
The other things we've got is we've got the new AOS starter sets, which are essentially repackaging the sprues from Dominion in various amounts with various game board sizes and amounts of terrain, depending on how much space you have to play in.
Looks like, yeah.
So the two small ones have some cardboard stuff.
Yeah, like that's what I was gonna ask. Like, is all the terrain cardboard?
The big one is the new plastic Dawnbringer settlement stuff, but the two smaller ones are cardboard.
Okay.
Or thick cardstock of some variety. It's going to be fun. And then there's finally the Sisters of Battle Combat Patrol for those people who care about 40k.
Yeah.
I mean, looks pretty cool to me. I think yesterday
it's got the new tank they were talking about, right? Or is it still the old one?
I don't remember because I don't pay attention to 40k that much.
Yeah, me neither. Not too much, but But so they're pushing those combat patrol, like the smallest version of. Is there something similar for now with the new rules for AOS?
I'm not entirely sure how combat patrols differ from their start collecting sets.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know over in Sigmar Land we've got start collecting boxes, which look like they're the same amount of stuff.
Okay.
So I think combat patrols are. That's what.
Is that the 500 points thing? Is that the combat patrol?
I honestly don't know. The start collectings are
but
various.
There's a new version of AOS where it's like 750 now, right?
Yeah, there's more. There's different intervals in the rules for points wise for your games. But like, the Age of Sigmar start collecting boxes have historically been wildly different values points wise, but they've always been like, this is a load of stuff that you're going to need to get if you're getting into this faction. So here's it at cost or slightly below cost. So
yeah, it's supposed to be a better value than just buying those separate or by themselves
Well, I don't think they're not normally like super cheap compared to buying everything separately.
Well, I've seen the Seraphon, because I was looking at, and I think like my son loves dinosaurs and blah blah blah. So yeah, I was looking at I think it was the Seraphon one where there's this giant dinosaur dude, with like a big cannon on the back or something, and that box looked like it was really good value because. By itself, just the big model was almost like 3/4 of the price of that box. So
the battalion boxes they did with the Broken Realm books have actually been savings. The start collecting boxes depends which one. So I've bought when I was buying my Flesh Eater Quartz, I've got 2 of the Start Collecting Flesh Eater Quartz boxes, and that was a zombie dragon, a box of Crypt Horrors or Flyers, and a box of ghouls in one place. So it's the core of a good army, but not necessarily value. They also announced the Thousand Suns versus Grey Knights battle box. I
saw those, yeah.
Which,
those are
again,
so
it's got a new sculpt of Grey Knight special character, and it's got a new sculpt for a Thousand Suns Chaos Sorcerer. And
yeah, but those are like, man, those are heavy. Like, they just got too much details. I think it's just. I understand that you want something that's got a lot of details, blah blah blah, and all this, but it's got so many crap hanging over all over the place. It's gonna take forever. It's gonna take forever to paint those.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just like, it's not something I'd like to do.
I mean, I might get the Chaos Sorcerer if and when he becomes available independently.
Okay.
Because he's from the Chaos Legion that I've just started.
Yeah.
The Heresy version of, and just before the Heresy, they had like where he's swinging his arm across and he's got like the mini demons coming out. They had mini demons following them around, and they're like, no, these aren't demons, these are my familiars. They're totally under my control. And the demon's behind him, crossing his fingers and winking with its 16th eye. So, yeah. That is the news.
Yeah.
There's some dragons. They look cool. And I hope eventually we get Stormcast riding a dragon.
Yeah, you talked about those. I was like, when I saw dragon, I was like, and when I saw the email, I was like, finally, like, we're gonna get what Liam was talking about like the actual dragon, Stormcats riding dragons. And then I saw the thing, and I was like, no, it's not. But yeah,
it's a dragon wearing some Stormcast armor.
Yep, it's getting there. Well, and if you said that they rebuild the army and all this, I was like, yeah, so we might get that they actually have, like, that they're back on basically having a whole bunch of dragons that they can use in combat. So that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and then I started doing the rules previews for the new Orc book today as well. So that means
is that for
Sigmar?
Is that for Age of Sigmar? Okay.
Yeah. So, like, generally, like the week before they announce a pre-order for a book, they'll go, here's little snippets of the rules to get you excited. So they're doing that for the Orcs this week. That means they'll probably be doing it for the Stormcast next week, which means after that I'll be able to buy the book.
Yeah, because you need a codex, and then you need the books for each of the armies that you want to play and all that, right?
Like, we got the cards with all the rules on for all the stuff in Dominion.
Alright.
But what the book coming out means the rest of the range is coming out, which means the rest of the toys are coming out, which means I'm about to be very poor.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm dreading Mr. Dormammu coming out.
Oh yeah.
Oof. I am not gonna get the building. That's for sure. But I am gonna get Dormammu, and that one is gonna be costly. And so yeah. And then if it comes with any other two, or hoping it comes out on its own, like 1 month on its own, and not with another like 2 other packs or something like this, because then it's just gonna be like.
They did announce all of that stuff at the same time.
Yeah. Well, they announced all the Spider-Man. Sorry. All the Spider-Man stuff at the same time. So the new Spider-Man, Lizard and Craven. So the new Spider-Man with Black Cat. What else is in there? Mysterio, Carnage coming up also. So far we only got Lizard and Craven, so I'm hoping that it'll be the same and they'll be spread out a little bit and not just all in one go. But yeah, usually that's what it is. It's it's good to have the models and everything. I mean, GW is not cheap.
No.
MCP is not cheap either. Mostly because of the license.
Yeah.
GW,
you gotta make sure the mouse gets his cheese.
Yeah, pretty much. It's not that bad because I mean, like when you see like so a GW box for one main character is what, $30?
So it's around 25 to £30.
Yeah, 25 to £30. It's probably $40 in the US. 35 to $40, and that's for one character. All the MCP characters are pretty much main characters.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit different, and this is why most of them come in a pack of 2, and a pack of 2 is 35 to $40.
That's not bad.
So, no, it's not bad.
They're good sculpts as well, so you're paying for your quality.
Yes. And like I said before, they are getting better and better, and they're just doing a great job. I mean, like I said, like this guy, like Lizard is just, it's just great. I mean, you've got the scales on all the like all over the body. You've got the shredded T-shirt with the scales in between and all this. I mean, it's just. Like, I like the model painted, but the unpainted model is awesome because I can, like, really tell, and I'm like, oh, I cannot wait to. And this is gonna be, like, perfect for a wash, like, the scales and everything, or even, like, a contrast paint and be like, hey, here we go, boom, done. Like, so, yeah, I'm looking forward to painting it. And so there's a whole bunch of guys that I still need to prime.
This one.
And that's probably... Which one is that one?
Pterodon turquoise.
Oh, but that's turquoise then. Or is it green?
Is
that your rider thingies?
That's not.
Is that what you use?
It's not the one that I used for her. It's the one that I used for my bigger Dracoths and Stardrake. Where's that one? I tried it on there, and it didn't look right.
And is it greenish?
That's. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
That color there.
No. Yeah, you see, I would think I would go more with Goblin Green from Vallejo and Camo Shade Wash.
Yeah.
And I think that's gonna look pretty good. Alright, well, I am gonna stop here today with Mr. Falcon. I still need to redo the white on it, but I think it's looking good.
So I can only see your face cam at the moment, so he's looking quite good to me even through that. So
yeah, it'll need some work, but again, that I'll continue.
Yeah.
In the next, in 2 weeks.
So what I've been up to. So I've got all the gold on all these 3 lads and lass. 2 lads, 1 lass, I think is what we've got for these guys. Yeah, and I've based out where I'm going to do things like the parchment and the weapon hafts and the ropes and their belts. And now the one thing that I'm not quite sold on is the parchment or ribbons hanging from their halberds. So these two, I've painted them red. This one I've kind of left unpainted as the base colour. And I'm not quite sure whether I want to do them as red or as parchment.
Do where's my wheel? Where's my wheel? Well, I have a color wheel. You need to do like the accent color opposite of the red, which, of course, I don't know at the top of my head, but like, here we go. Color wheel. Red, complementary green. But you already have blue on the armor, which is kind of. So if you look at it,
if I was doing it parchment, it'd be skeleton horde.
Because then, if you do a triad, you already have blue. You could do yellow, which parchment, would be yeah.
So I think I might.
That might just do an accent color. Yeah.
Before the next episode, I might repaint these just so I'm in a position to just start going on all the washes and the contrast sections on that. And I've also whacked some crackle paint on the base, which is starting to crack around the edges. So that stinks.
Why? Is that supposed to crack?
Well, it's supposed to crank. It just smells.
Oh, okay.
No, it physically
that
smells.
Stinks because it physically stinks. Okay, it actually stinks.
That's the older Grelin Earth doing its job.
All right. Well, I'm probably gonna. Well, I'm gonna prime Mr. Lizard, Cassandra, Jean Grey, Mr. Bob. I wish I could actually, for once, drill a barrel, because he's got a giant rocket launcher, so... And yeah, so I'll probably prime those and keep painting those. I still have so much... I'm so much behind on the Marvel. It's... I mean, they're coming out every month, but... It's just... I'm taking too much time to paint them.
It's kind of like what I'm doing with the Mortal Realms stuff. Then, if you're trying to keep on track of that.
Well, I have I have a subscription with so it's called Team Covenant, and they're based in Tulsa, I think. And basically, you're like, I want the subscription for Marvel Crisis Protocol, or for Marvel Champion, the card game. I don't know if you know that one. Or they have a few other like card games and things like this. And then you'd say, the subscription itself costs nothing. 2 weeks before they send you the stuff, they will take the money and be like, we process your order, in 2 weeks you'll get your stuff.
This is your pre-order.
Yeah. And basically you don't have to pre-order, you don't have to do anything. It's like, you receive an email and you're like, hey, you're gonna receive the next character pack. And so you can do character pack, terrain pack, mats, because they have the mats also.
Yeah.
And so whenever those come out, they'll send them to you. But I used to have the terrain pack. I've discontinued it because I'm not playing the game itself. So I'm like, the last one I got was the New York, the little vehicles and the construction site, the small construction site. I did not get the apartment building, and I'm not gonna get the house. It's cool, but I'm not there.
they might be nice to have in the future if you're displaying them.
Yeah, but again, like
if you're just having fun painting them at the moment, then that's just extra work for you for later, really.
No, and like I said, like I've printed a bunch of terrain already. That's with the filament one, not the resin one. One guy that does prints that are really good for that is Corvus Terrain.
Yeah.
They're awesome. And he's already got the house. So, since he cannot sell the house with the actual symbol on it, it's funny because... So he sends you a house that he calls a different name. The symbol in the middle is separate, but the one that comes in with the pack that you buy is a certain type. Like it's just a glass or something. But then if you go on Thingiverse, he posted the actual symbol for the thing for free. Because he's not supposed to make money out of that. And then you can take it and put it on the house. So, and I think it's pretty cool.
Loopholes.
That he does that. And he actually takes the time to do it, but yeah.
Yeah, so I think for my next 2 weeks,
on this guy.
My next 2 weeks worth of stuff is going to be, all the grey stuff I waved at you at the beginning. I'm going to try and get all that done. So I'm caught up on Mortal Realms because we've got one more delivery. Yeah, we're on issue 74. Yeah, so the next delivery is the Celestin Prime. He's in an issue. There's another issue which has got the bases for the Celestin Prime and the big centerpiece model for the Nighthaunt, which is then going to be over 2 issues itself. So that's a Mortis engine, which is a big, stagecoach type thing being drawn by ghosty horses, which is going to be
I've seen that
large
one. That's
and
pretty cool.
really cool looking, but technically isn't part of a Nighthaunt army. But
like I said, lots of MCP. Hopefully, I can get at least I want to get Quicksilver done. The problem is if I start Lizard, I'm gonna spend hours on it because I just want to make it look so pretty. But I definitely need to paint it. It's just awesome.
And then I'm getting beaten up on Saturday, so that's the other thing that's going on. It's
You're getting what?
My actual grading is on Saturday.
Is it this Saturday?
It's this Saturday coming.
Did we just lose one of your camera?
I think we lost my phone.
All right, well,
that's a sign because my Audacity recording is coming up to 1 hour and 53 minutes. So this is going to be a long one. Longer.
Yeah, and I think my camera just I have this first 20 minutes separate, so it might be a cut in between, but so
let's
again
sign off
you,
before
everybody.
All of our stuff dies.
Yeah, thank you everybody for being with us again. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends, all your nerdy friends that don't have anything to do when they don't have anything to listen or to watch or put in the corner of the table when they paint and do all these things. And
by the time this goes up, I should have the Discord ready for other people. So
yep, true. We saw today that almost that's almost done. So by the time this comes out, link below, link in the show notes if you're listening to us. If you're watching us on YouTube, everything is gonna be
and if it's not when it comes out,
and
harass me on Twitter.
And again, share with people. If we get to 100 followers, we'll do a live streaming.
Live streak.
And hopefully that should be pretty fun. We can answer questions as we hobby, and hopefully you guys can hobby with us. And like I said, ask question and interact with us.
That one's definitely going to be a bumper. bumper episode.
Yeah, that would be pretty fun. I think even if we do not reach 100 by in a couple of months, we might do it still, because it's really something that I want to do. But we need to organize it properly again. Make sure that everything is set up. We might run a test.
Time zones.
So all this. Yeah, it's gonna have to be around that time. So what? Yeah, for you it's what? Almost midnight.
It's
like 10 o'clock or
20 past 10.
20 past 10, which is not that bad.
It's not too bad.
Yeah. The problem is like mine is like in the middle of the afternoon, so yeah, that might not be easier for.
We'll figure something out.
I don't know. Like, yeah, we might do maybe a Saturday or a Sunday or something like that if you have any availability, and hopefully I won't get disturbed by the kids coming in screaming or the dog or whatever happens during the weekend.
I don't know. The dog interrupting Vince when he's doing Warhammer Weekly is often the best bit.
Yeah, the dog doesn't come in here. If he comes in here, that's a problem because it's he can go down to the garage and that's a big issue. But yeah, so yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well,
thanks for watching,
everybody. Thanks again.
See you next time.
We'll see you next time. Bye. This has been an episode of the Hobby Streakers. If you're following us on YouTube, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell for any future episode. If you're following us on a podcast, please leave a positive review. Thank you, and don't forget to keep that hobby streak going.